Next week's presentation, Reality Check, Quantum Implications for a New Era, presented by Pam Wolski. Physicists, philosophers, and poets have been fascinated by quantum physics for nearly 100 years. What actually is quantum theory? Why has it intrigued such a broad spectrum of society, as evidenced by book titles ranging from Quantum Reality, Quantum Enigma, and Quantum Healing, to Quantum Poetry, Quantum Forgiveness, and Quantum Spirituality? Pam will explore these questions from a broad perspective, ranging from science and medicine to philosophy and spirituality. She will consider the question, what does quantum physics tell us about the nature of reality? Pam Wolski was a book editor and a teacher of writing and math near Chicago, Illinois, before moving to Mexico with her husband in 2013. Quantum physics has fascinated her for 10 years, and she enjoys learning how it has been applied, actually and metaphorically, to so many areas of life. So that should be an interesting talk next week. Our meditation leader today is Hillary Stewart.
I know there's quite a few people in this group are meditators, but I also know there's quite a few people who have no idea why anybody would meditate. So I just want to give you a little more insight into that. And that is that meditation has some very good health benefits in that it reduces stress, you can relax your body, that sort of thing. But the main objective of meditating is to cut off the thoughts that keep going through your mind. So you want to get your brain, not your brain, your mind, to relax. And just as you can get your body to relax. But the main objective is really to clear your mind so that you can connect with your inner self, your non-physical self, and with the universal energy. And that can only come when your mind is without thought. So this morning what I like to do is, I should say too, that to stop all those thoughts parading across your mind is a difficult thing. And so one of the things that we do to get there, and get that sweet spot, is we find something to focus on. And just keep focusing on it until finally the thoughts have stopped coming, and then you're in that sweet spot. So what I'm going to give you today is a special sound to focus on. But right now what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes, so you're shutting off the visual distractions. Close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths to relax your body first. And when you're breathing out, exhaling, think, relax. Relax. Just let go. Now the sound to focus on, which is like a mantra, it has no meaning, but it is kind of like a word. It's cutting. Cutting. So keep repeating that mentally as you relax more and more. So it's cutting. 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 If you're doing it at home, you would want to be doing 10 to 15 minutes at least. But this is just a start to let you know There's a big, big objective at the end, and you can do it. Thank you.
This week's presentation, Is Your House Making You Sick? Presented by Beatriz Gallagher, PhD. When investigating what ails us, we seldom consider our home as the main cause. Environmental medicine is a rare specialty in allopathic medicine. Pesticides, herbicides, and smog are acknowledged pollutants, but we must also consider biotoxins produced by microbes, molds, and fungus in our homes, offices, and cars. Sick building syndrome, SBS, is a frequent cause of several chronic conditions that physicians easily dismiss because lab tests appear normal. Commonly overlooked symptoms are fatigue, depression, ADD, pain, memory problems, respiratory infections, unexplained weight gain and loss, or sensitivity to bright lights. Dr. B will explain how to detect mold in your home, wipe it out, and prevent recontamination. Dr. Gallagher practices functional medicine and clinical nutrition in the Chapala area. She writes a wide variety of metabolic, nutritional, and environmental. She applies a wide variety of metabolic, nutritional, and environmental tests to discover the underlying causes of chronic conditions. Foods, nutritional supplements, and colonics are among tools she uses to help patients to recover health. Last year, she finished a specialty in anti-aging medicine and ozone therapy. I personally thank her, and I'm happy to introduce Dr. B. Gallagher. Please give her a warm welcome.
Hello? Hello. Good morning, everybody. Here I am again. I am going to talk about our houses where we spend a great deal of time. And I focused my presentation on people that I have met during the time I have been living here. When we leave school, we think we know a lot, don't we? Only to know how much we don't know. When I moved here, I wanted to do something different to be kind of special. And through lectures that I listened here, especially one with Dr. Stone, he talked a lot about the lake. And one day I was in a restaurant and then Karuna comes along and she says, "You speak English?" "Yeah." "Well, we need you. We're going tomorrow to Guadalajara and we need a translator. And you are coming." I said, "Yeah, I'm busy." "Well, cancel everybody." Okay. So I spent the day with Dr. Stone, and he told me a lot about the lake and the heavy metal and all that involved with part of the environmental health, which involves water. And shortly after that, one of the labs I used in the States announced testing for environmental medicine. Pesticides, herbicides, plastics. And at that time, my son was living in Atlanta. I said, "Oh, maybe I should know more about this." So I went to the seminar. I stayed with my son. I borrowed my car. He had it because I moved here. So we learned a lot about that. And in my previous talk about the gut and brain connection, I mentioned that fact. That's why I started to do colonics. And shortly after that, I became Dr. Poop. So, there you go. So then I started doing colonics, and my very first patient, she was a pharmacist in Houston, and her hospital where she was working flooded with one of those hurricanes. So there was a lot of water in the basement, and she said that there was a poorly done job cleaning up the water. And as we know, mold grows in about 2 days or 3 days after the right environment, which is moist, heat, and dark. That's exactly what a basement is. So the mold grew also in the air conditioning system. And she said shortly after the hurricane, a lot of people started to get sick. And she got sick too. As a pharmacist, you cannot make mistakes. And she started making a lot of mistakes. And she started going from doctor to doctor to see what was wrong with her. She would be confused. She couldn't add numbers. She couldn't remember names. She had to look at formulas all the time when she already memorized them by doing it over and over and over. So after 6 months, she was let go because she was making too many mistakes. They had to put another pharmacy to check what she was doing. So the hospital didn't like that because it was costing too much. So then she started her pilgrimage going from one place to another place. And one day she said, well, I'm an educated person. I can do my own research. So you start with the clinical history. I was okay until the hurricane. So she knew somebody here, and she ended up coming here because the weather was nice and it was cheap. She didn't have her same income as before. And her friend said, why don't you come over to Ajijic and stay sometime here? The weather is nice. And we have La Bodega, where you can go dancing. And she came, so I started my practice, and I offered the colonics, and she was my very first patient. And of course, nothing worked. We didn't have the hot water. We had to change the plumber. But she didn't have any rushes. Don't worry, I can wait here. So she took a magazine and she waited until we figured it out. And we started doing colonics. She read somewhere that colonics were good for detox. And she wanted to detox. I said, okay, we'll do the colonics. One day she shows up with a funny looking bottle. What is it? I think I didn't bring it. So anyway, okay, here's this. Something like this. She says, this is MMS. I want you to put it in the water. I said, well, what is it? He says, it's good stuff. And you can read about it and learn about it, but I want you to put this in the water. I said, over my dead body. I said, no, I'm serious. Put it in. I said, okay. You have to sign a paper that says, I am not responsible if you die here. Says, I'll sign anything you want. So anyway, we started making this funny thing called MMS, put it in the water, and then she started taking the oral and all that. Because she still had some money, we were able to do some testing to find out why her metabolism was so out of whack. And she started to improve. The thing with any of these therapies that I'm going to mention, you need to be consistent so they work. And since she was only working part-time at night, she had all day long, so she spent hours and hours in the internet reading about it. There are a few very good websites where you can find more detailed information than what I'm sharing here, only because it's just too long and I don't have that much time, unfortunately. So I started learning academically about mold from this book called Desperation Medicine. And this book was written by Dr. Richie Shoemaker, who is now one of the gurus, experts on mold. He even goes to court to defend people who got sick while working wherever they are, where there's mold damage. So in this book, what was interesting is the story of how the microorganisms change due to challenge. In the place where he lives, which is Maryland, there were a lot of chicken farms. And the chickens are kind of smelly, so people started to complain a lot, mess up poop, and they finally got them out. And then the land was sold to farmers that started to grow oranges. So then, of course, like all farmers, or most farmers, or almost everybody, they start to use fertilizers and maybe herbicides. And all that, if it stays in the ground, it's okay, but if it, with the rain, it will go to rivers, to lakes, to the ocean. So the microorganisms in the Bay Area started to change. And the microorganisms also have a conscience, I think, and they want to live and survive. So this is also the law of the fittest. The ones that can survive and adapt take over. And then the weak ones, or the ones that control the bullies, I call them, then they prevail, the strong ones prevail. So there's something called hysteria, which is a very toxic, the toxins of the bacteria is what causes the problem. The toxins of the mold or other organisms that infect us are the problem. So we use, for example, antibiotics to kill the bacteria that is hurting us, but there is not much it does for the biotoxins produced when they die. So this book is a story of how people started to get sick when the environment changed. So then after that, he started to see people who were sick from living in moldy houses or working in moldy places. So with his time investigating, and also he's a medical doctor, he was able to implement a bunch of tests, because when we go by regular testing, your blood count looks okay, your immune cells look okay, you don't show liver damage. I mean, there's nothing really to go by in ordinary tests that we have normally. So I'm going to read a few of the tests that are done to confirm that you have mold or environmental illness. One of them is called VIP. By the way, all these tests that I'm going to read are in his website, Richie Shoemaker, that is called survivingmold.com. So something called VIP is not a very important person. It's vasoactive intestinal polypeptide. So this vasoactive peptide is a regulatory hormone with receptors in the hypothalamus. This hormone, cytokine, regulates peripheral cytokine responses in pulmonary artery inflammatory responses throughout the body. Low VIP levels are present in mold illness patients and leads to unusual shortness of breath, especially in exercise. Today, every multiple chemical sensitivity patient Shoemaker has seen, over 500, has very low levels of VIP. VIP plays a role similar to MSH in regulating inflammatory response. I'll read that next. So MSH is melanocyte-stimulating hormones. As you see, none of these hormones or tests are in any of the blood tests that we do here. MSH, melanocyte-stimulating hormone, has multiple anti-inflammatory functions, is neurohormonal and regulation functions, and controls peripheral cytokine release. We know that cytokines are inflammatory molecules. In mold illness, MSH will be low in over 95% of the patients. This means increased susceptibility to mold illness, ongoing fatigue, pain, hormonal abnormalities, mood swings, and much more. MSH is a hormone called a regulatory neuropeptide, and it controls many other hormones, inflammation pathways, and basic defenses against invasive microbes. Without MSH, bad things happen. Chronic sleep disorders and non-restful sleep develop. And endorphin production is reduced, so chronic pain follows. Another one is TGF-beta-1, transforming growth factor beta-1. So this is another regulatory hormone that goes out of sync. I'm not going to read all of them, it's a little long. But the CA4A is another one that is also connected to genetics. Not everybody is sensitive to mold. There is a genetic test called, section called HLA-DR, and that's a genetic marker. The human leukocyte antigen, HLAs, are found on the surface of nearly every cell in the human body. They help the immune system tell the difference between body tissue and foreign substances. Almost a quarter of the population are genetically susceptible to mold illness. That's why when you have a sick person at home and the rest are okay, they say, well, it's all in your head. Then we have AGA. Anti-gliadin AGA antibodies are produced in response to gliadin. That's the wheat. A small protein part of gluten, biologically active in wheat, barley, and rye. These antibodies were thought at one time to be specific to celiac disease. Within 30 minutes of ingestion of gliadin, for those with anti-gliadin antibodies, there will be an inflammatory response. This inflammatory response can provide many symptoms, including some that mimic attention deficit disorder. We all know that some kids are labeled ADHD because they're abnormal behavior. Seen within 30 minutes after eating a cupcake. It is not sugar on the icing, it's the gluten in the cake. Anti-gliadin antibodies are found in over 58% of children with biotoxin-associated illness. Okay, I'm going to skip a few just for the sake of time. So we're going to talk about leptin. Leptin turns on how tightly the body holds onto fatty acids. When leptin is high, one holds the fatty acids and stores them in fat. This leads to rapid weight gain, and because of the high leptin, standard approaches to weight loss like eating less and exercising more will fail. The inflammatory responses that causes leptin leads to led to patients who are chronically tired and forever overweight. I've seen a few of those. So when Gail and I started working very intensively with her detox, her gradual improvement got better and better with time. And one day when she was okay, I'm going to say healed, she said, you know what, I've been a pharmacist all my life, prescribing drugs that fix nothing and many times make things worse. I'm going to go back to school and learn what you know, what you do. And she did. She went back to the U.S. and signed up for a master's degree in nutrition, and now she is a nutrition. So now her job is to take drugs away instead of prescribing drugs, or at least providing drugs. For people who have mold illness and don't know about it, after I met Gail, then I met another girl who is Mexican and went to live to Germany. And in Germany, she was asked to provide her vaccination record. Said, well, I don't have one. Well, then we're going to give you all the vaccines that are required here. So she said she got 5 vaccines in 1 week. After that, she started to develop this chronic flu. Because Germany has a very good health system, she started doing, in Germany they do a lot with alternatives. She started to do ozone therapy. They took all the amalgams out and replaced them with the resins. And then, but she was kind of lonely and she decided to come back to Mexico. Well, she said, I want to find a town that looks like Switzerland. And she ended up in Mazamitla, the other side of the lake. And they said, oh, well, Mazamitla is kind of quiet. The action is in Ajijic. So she came over here and she said, yep, this is what I like. I'm going to stay here and find a job or something to do. And she rented a small house in a gated community. After 6 months, she was sicker than when she was in Germany. And when she came to see me, they took the amalgams out, but they didn't take out the mercury from your tissues. So your mercury is toxic. And then I think you're also mold toxic. So that was a shock. Because when you live in a house that is very toxic to you, there is no other thing you can do but move. If you're renting, that's easy because you just pack the things and go. But when you own your place, now what? Well, it's rather difficult to fix your house. It's easier if it is just a small area like the kitchen cabinet, under the sink, the bathroom, places where you have wood and it's dark. The first house I lived, they had a leak in the sink. And every time I opened that cabinet, oh, it was smelly. So then, after I learned all these things about mold, and asked patients that live in a moldy house, I said, well, I don't know. I said, well, I'm going to go to a house and smell it. So I would go and sniff around, but then I started to get sick myself. I said, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. So the thing that I didn't know, we think by throwing bleach on the mold because it's black and now it's white, that it goes. No. Then it starts to mutate because it wants to survive and becomes much more aggressive. One of the things that mold does, it throws these particles, the nanoparticles, that are the toxins. So its intention is to make you sick, so you go and don't leave it alone. There is a very good website that I invite you to visit if you want to learn more about this. It was done by a lady who was very sick, and she said there's a lot of miscommunication, there are a lot of things that people don't know what to do, like throwing bleach at mold. That's the worst thing you can do. So she created a website called survivingtoxicmold.com. So in her website, she goes step by step how to remediate mold. First you do this, then you do that, then you do the other one. But the first recommendation that she gives is you have to be away from mold. And sometimes that is the hardest thing. I see the horror in the face of people when I tell them, you need to move. And they go, what? Yes, not only you need to move, most likely you can't take anything. Because mold will be in your books, in the fabric of your sofa, in the drapes. And the only thing you can take would be the dishes, anything you want, anything that's metal or a hard surface. Very hard to get mold out of wood. Well, actually, there is a way. It needs 600 degrees. Basically, you have to burn. That's hard. But anyway, surviving mold, surviving toxic mold is a good guide to learn the steps, the correct steps to remediate your home. In my office, what I do an eye test. So one of the symptoms of mold illness is that it's very hard for you to drive at night. And also for the human eye, the hardest thing is to see gray on white. So here's an eye test. This is not to see if you need glasses. You put it in like this, hold it on your chin, and cover one eye, and you have to tell me which way those lines go. They go from big to small. And then I can see if you have biotoxin buildup in the optic nerve. And that is an easy way to do it. Dr. Shoemaker in his website has this test, and you pay, I think, $15, and you do it in the computer. But this is very good, and because it is a visual test, we can see if you're getting better, because you will do better in your eye test. So this is called functional acuity contrast test. So it's an eye test, and it's very easy to do. So my friend who lived in Germany came here and became toxic. The disease or the condition gets worse as time goes. If you have those hormone deficiencies, if you have the genetic part, if you cannot afford a nice clean place and you go from place to place, then your condition may develop into what is known as multiple chemical sensitivity. And that is really ugly. Because then all kinds of smells start to bother you. Then it's not just the mold, it is the perfumes, it is the cleaning products. I took her to many places trying to find a clean area where she could find a place, and she could smell pesticides and herbicides. I said, but I don't smell anything. Because I know what it can get to, I believe her, but I couldn't smell anything. So there are many kinds of things that make it worse. If you have the mold biotoxins, and then you get a cold, it's not just a cold, and then it becomes pneumonia. It makes you more susceptible to a bigger problem. If you have digestive problems, it's not just the upset stomach. Now you have chronic diarrhea that doesn't stop with anything. And as the problem progresses, also the cost to maintain progression. You need more supplements, you need to change your diet. Definitely people will do better if they don't eat grains, because grains may also be a source of mold. You know, grains are stored in those huge, what do you call it, elevator storage? Alright. So grains are high in protein. And what's inside there? All this heat, this humidity, and mold-like stuff. This is food here. So there are two choices. The person who treats that can fumigate it and kill the mold, and then you have to deal with the toxicity of the chemical they use. Or they just grind it and make flour, and now we eat it. I think some of those people who are going with gluten-free and get better, They're also getting better because they are not ingesting the mold toxin and the mold. That's my guess. So if you suspect you have mold in your home, what is the simplest thing you can do? Well, open the windows. Ventilation. A lot of the houses here are dark. What's the matter with this? We have lots of sun. Open the windows. Open the drapes. Ventilate your house every day. In the States, I live in Connecticut, and of course, we have all these long winters, and we close everything because we don't want to lose our heat. But we have those fumes from the carpet, from the cabinets, the cleaning products that we use, and the quality of air is more toxic inside than outside. So now when I go up in my house, I open all the windows, and my husband goes, "Are you crazy?" Yes, I am protecting you, dear. It's only like 10, 15 minutes, and then you can close the windows again. I have used some of this MMS. You mix it and activate it and put it in your cabinet and close the doors. Then it evaporates and it starts to clean it up. We have also a lot of problems with our cars. Our cars have air conditioning. How often do you change the filters? Many businesses here that have air conditioning are also, I'm going to say, moody. And especially if they close the windows so they don't lose the air conditioning. If you go to any place that is like that, stay there at least the amount of time you want. Or if you're already sensitive, you suspect that, wear a face mask. Who cares what people say? You don't want to breathe this dust, these things in there. Last week, I went to Agua Caliente to collect hair from kids who are sick. Remember that talk by Dr. Stone about the water problem? So we went to the town of Agua Caliente, and I thought that was Indiana Jones. Those roads were really rough. We had to climb down the rocks to get to the house. Finally, we got to collect the samples. So I went with this friend, my movie friend, and she said, "There's no mold here." I said, "Really? There's poverty, there's everything, but we didn't smell any mold." And then I said, okay, the construction is very poor, the quality of life is really minimal, but there's no mold here. What happened? Well, everybody has all the doors and the windows open. Many houses don't even have windows. So as long as the breeze is moving the air, I think that is a good thing. So these are a couple of cases that I had. I have many more cases about people who have had from minimal discomfort to massive discomfort. Another thing that mold can lead to is depression. If you have depression and your medications don't help, think about the environment in your house, the cleaning products that you use. Do you use Fabuloso? Stuff is so toxic. What are you putting on your face? What is in your toothpaste? What is in your deodorant? All those things, companies that make these products only test their product or the ingredients. But nobody knows what happens when you put all this stuff together. It's just impossible to run those studies to see what happens when you have your margarita with your crackers, and then you put some tuna fish, and then you're having digestion, then you take Tums, and then you can't go poop, so you take the laxative, right? So I think it is all connected, and the cleaner we have our house, the less exposure we have to these toxic chemicals, and the less load on your immune system. After all, it is your immune system that is in charge of cleaning house. The immune system, I'm going to include the gut flora. What bugs are you carrying in your belly? And your diet. Definitely your diet has a lot to do. If you have a diet rich in fruits and vegetables with antioxidants, you will be less oxidized and younger. And the depression, I think it is because there's so much disruption with your neurotransmitters and the hormonal. And when you're depressed, you don't eat as well, you don't go out in the sun, you don't mingle with people, you don't start projects. So I think accelerates your problem even further. So in closing, I invite everybody to open your windows at home, eat your veggies, your mom said. Eat your raspberries, your bright colored fruits, and if you have family in the States of Canada where we have a lot of sheetrock and wood in our houses, share what you learned today. This is also good to spread the word, and people who are told it's all in your head really is not true. There is a lot in the head, and it's biotoxins. I have many more cases, as I said, anywhere from just stuffy noses that never go away, or they go and come back, all the way to cancer. Definitely, if I get cancer patients and the house is not safe, you need to make your house clean. Sometimes we don't know if that would be a change. So I invite them to go and stay some days in Querétaro. Querétaro is a dry place. And if you feel better there, then you know it may be your house. Go to a dry place. My friend who has the multiple chemical sensitivities went to Acapulco. That was the worst. Too much humidity. Monterrey, too dusty. Went to León, too much agriculture there. The best place that she found was Querétaro. There are many places here, except that you need to be aware of what is your neighbor doing. Our office, where we were before, the guy next door put tons of dirt to level his land, and with all the rain, he didn't build a wall. So with all the rain, the water seeped through the wall to my office. And I had to leave that office. Can't work here. Cannot bring sick people to an unhealthy environment. So when the houses are close to each other, is the bathroom next door leaking? Because the mold can also grow behind the tile. If you don't see it, but you smell it, it's there. So look out. And there's more to learn. I have learned, last year I went to learn more about ozone therapy and UV light therapy because I'm getting more and more people where the antibiotics don't work anymore. So we have to get bigger and better guns to help them. So I think this learning pathway never stops. Most of what has done has been due to the patients who don't get better. So you think, gee, maybe I need to go to another seminar, buy another book, buy another machine. But we're going to start by opening the windows, having a good diet, have lots of friends, increases your serotonin levels, and enjoy life. Thanks.
We have a bit of time for questions, and Bea will have answers. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and mic will be brought to you. We have one right down here. And if you'd stand up and say your question, hold the mic really close to your mouth. Works really great.
Hi. We really enjoy your talks, but now that we live here with this high altitude, this extreme dryness, and all the walls are cement, and there is no basement, everything's cement and painted with heavy white paint, and the tiles are white. What goes on? I cannot sleep at night in my bedroom, even though I've opened all the windows there. Every 2 hours, my mouth is so dry that I have to get up and drink. And that means 4 times during the night.
Okay, we have to, if you come to see me, we have to do a very detailed clinical history. Where you lived before, what things you were exposed to, because these biotoxins go into cell membranes and stay there for a long time. Even though you're living here and your house might be okay, we don't know what's your baggage from way back.
At home, we lived beside a lake in a house that... At home we lived beside a lake in a house that's made of logs, and part of it is with the new part is made differently. Lots of windows, lots of sun. So consequently, I don't experience that. It's just right here in this community. The extreme heat, the extreme altitude, my husband cannot walk here. And I'm getting to that stage. And the extreme heat and altitude and dryness.
Well, then it's a little bit more complicated. It might be that you have a sensitivity to altitude. One time I had a patient who was told that she had to go back to Canada because the altitude was too bad. All she had was B12 deficiency. So we need to check something else.
Okay. Another question? Doctor?
Yes, you mentioned Fabuloso, and the woman that comes to clean loves it. So my house just is smelling of it constantly. So I wonder what you recommend for our beautiful tile floors.
Vinegar and water.
Vinegar and water. We should have known that.
Thank you.
Okay, and right here, please stand up.
Tell me about ozone therapy.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, ozone therapy is oxygen and kills everything.
Yeah, okay, over here. We can get a mic to you.
No, one right here.
Oh, right here, okay.
Question. You said you did some testing on the hair of the children. What were the results of that? What was wrong with that?
We don't know yet. We're still collecting samples. And Dr. Stone is going back to the States on Wednesday, so he will take the package.
Good, thank you.
I'll let you know, if we can, when we find out.
And we have here, and then over there.
Do you advocate coffee colonics, and if so, how many safe to take?
I cannot give you an exact number because that will be prescribed. However, they're very safe. You can learn more about it in gersentherapy.com, and the frequency depends on your problem. Okay? You're welcome to come see me and I'll give you more info.
Over here? Yes.
Hi, I'm pretty new here, living in the area, and I'm moving to La Floresta May 1st. And I've been told by numerous people that there has been a lot of flooding down there and that the groundwater is really close to the house when you live close to the lake. Have you found that there are a lot of problems in those neighborhoods close to the water?
Yes.
Or when it's the rainy season that it floods a lot in the lowlands?
It was during the rainy season.
Yeah.
There are some inspectors, house inspectors, that come with this infrared camera. But I suggest if you want to contact somebody, do it during the rainy season. When I bought my house, I bought it in November, and they came with the infrared. We found a few spots, and then I said, this house is big, and it's nice, and I'm going to buy it. Here's the money. Then it started to rain, and then it rained in my bedroom. That wasn't good. So the testing would be best during the rainy season.
Okay, over here.
Yes, hi.
I really enjoyed your talk, and it's very apropos because I do have black mold. But I'm wondering, does one have to have a professional
Remediator?
no, to assess the whole situation? I moved to the Prestige. Fortunately, it's dry and etc. But I should think that one has to have it professionally assessed.
It would be best if you find someone who truly knows how to fix it. And if you are not in the best health, I suggest that you're not in the house at all while they're doing the work.
Oh, of course, of course. I was told that. And like I said, I had 4 or 5 colds this winter. I mean, unbelievable. All right, thank you so much for your talk. It's very appropriate.
Over here?
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for your information. I'm very curious, how do you administer your ozone therapy?
Ozone can be applied through any hole in the body, except your nose. You just have to decide which one you want me to use.
Okay.
Oh,
Let's see what Margaret was I think our last question here is with Margaret. Dr. B will stay afterwards. We'll be happy to talk with you and share her wisdom with you.
Hello. You didn't mention salitre, which everybody's got. Who doesn't have salitre?
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
Salitre is a common thing here because of the water table. However, I don't think it's the same as mold. Mold is, the one I'm referring to is more the black mold that grows in the wall. I don't know anybody who doesn't have salitre. You just have to keep up with it. She does because she needs an environmentally. You don't have salitre. All right, anybody who wants to know how to build right, talk to her. But we just have to keep up with it.
One more.
Take it off and
One
then
more?
replace it.
Okay. Who do you got? Oh, okay. This is the last one.
why do you say that bleach is the worst thing that you can use for mold?
That's a great question. Because the mold mutates and becomes more aggressive when it is attacked. That's why. What do you use? Okay, if the budget is low, what we use is another detergent called Axion. It's green. It's a dishwashing detergent. You wash it first. Mold has a fat coating. It surrounds the little ball, and that's fat. So a detergent will break down the fat. Now you can hit it with the bleach, or I rather use essential oils. In the website from Surviving Toxic Mold, she talks about which essential oils are best to hit it with essential oils which are not toxic for us.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. B.